sweet project. However, $2,500 is hardly a budget build.
Alright, so you're sort of right, but you're also sort of wrong. Let me explain.
Alright, so I recently built this 72 volt 60 mile per hour electric motorcycle in my room for under $2,500, and I posted some videos about it. But if you go into the comments, people are asking question after question about the bike. People just want to know things about it, ranging from what the top speed is to is it durable or is it safe. And that's why in today's video I'm going to be answering all of your most burning questions about my most recent bike build. And you're going to want to stay tuned, because if you're looking to do a similar project to what I have done recently, the information in this video is going to help you out a lot. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure to go ahead, hit that like button, leave a nice comment down below, and most importantly, subscribe so I can continue to make more great videos like this. And let's get right into it. Sick build. What's the range of this beast?
So one of the most frequently asked questions about this bike is, what is the range? How far can you go on a single battery charge? All right, so there's no exact range that you're gonna get out of this bike. Of course, everybody's different. Everybody has a different body type. Everybody rides at a different speed. And also, considering that this is a custom bike build, it really just depends on how much money you're willing to spend on your battery. Because of course, the more money you spend on your battery, the higher capacity you're gonna get. Now, I'm actually reusing this battery, which is a 72 volt 40 amp hour battery from an older bike build that I had, which actually ran at 12.6 kilowatts. Unfortunately, I did do a range test of that bike. Now, on that very powerful bike using a whole bunch of throttle, I was actually able to get this battery to take me about 38 miles. Now, considering that this bike is 6,000 watts, meaning it uses half the power of my other bike, with the same battery, I'd probably assume that I'd get anywhere from 70 to 80 miles on one charge with this battery. Now granted, I do believe this is a little bit overkill, and if I was to buy a battery specifically for this bike, I'd probably go with more like a 72 volt 20 amp hour battery or a 72 volt 30 amp hour battery, just to keep the cost a little bit lower and this bike a little bit more lightweight. But to reiterate, about 70 to 80 miles using a 72 volt 40 amp hour battery, probably a little over 40 miles using like a 72 volt 20 amp hour battery. I hope that's a good answer for you.
Your bike looks like crap. How much was the total cost for the build?
So the original build cost of this bike was about $2,300. What $2,300 is getting you is a fast, fun, comfortable bike that is going to give you similar performance to something like a Surron X, which may cost you upwards of $5,000 to buy and get shipped to your house, which is a lot of money. Most people don't have that. Granted, most people don't have $2,300 lying around, but it is a big cut. Since I originally put this bike together, I've added some upgrades, such as the new suspension, the new front wheel, and I took the 72 volt 40 amp hour battery off of one of my other bikes and put it in there. But honestly, this is pretty overkill. Like, you can use the 72 volt 20 amp hour battery and you're gonna get plenty of range. So right now, I'd probably price this bike at around $3,400 for me. But again, you could do a very similar build for about $2,300 and the performance would be just fine.
Could you put that tire on a cage racer style e-bike?
So the short answer is yes, you could. Almost every single dropout for these e-bikes, including mountain bike dropouts, will be able to fit this motor, which means that if you had a cafe racer style e-bike and you wanted to put the same electronics on it that I have here, you could totally convert it to a cafe racer style electric motorcycle. Again, did I mention this goes for any e-bike style?
What's the math on the watts, like the controller amps and the motor watts?
Alright, so what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that power is not made from your motor. You can't just put this motor on any e-bike and expect it to go faster. That's not how it works. Nothing's really going to happen, and if anything, it's going to be slower because this is heavier than your average e-bike hub motor. The power is made from your battery and your controller. This is a 72 volt 150 amp battery. The 150 amps stands for how much power the BMS or battery management system is capable of drawing out of this battery and sending to the controller. This is a 72 volt 80 amp controller, which means this controller is capable of drawing a maximum of 80 amps from this battery. So basically the BMS from this battery is pretty overkill for this controller. What I'm basically getting here is all of that power is processed through that controller and then sent into your motor. So the 6,000 watts that this bike is created in here and sent to your motor. So like I said earlier, this is a 3,000 watt motor, but that's supposed to be the nominal rating. So now oftentimes companies will claim that their motors are 3,000 watts, but they can always run at a higher power level than what they say they are able to. So yes, I'm running 6,000 watts through this motor and it handles it just fine. It doesn't even get warm.
Do a puncture test with the ratchet strap.
Somebody said that they wanted me to do a puncture test of this battery. I don't know if they were joking or not, but first off, big waste of money. Second off, super dangerous. I think I'm gonna have to pass on that one.
Foot pegs.
So this is actually a great question, and yes, I am looking to add some foot pegs to this bike, because what's the point in having pedals and a chain on here if the gearing is going to be overcome once you reach over 20 miles per hour anyways? Like, there's literally no point. It's there just for looks. And I don't think it looks good, if I'm going to be honest. So yes, I am looking to add some foot pegs to these things. The option I'm looking at is these attachments that I found on Amazon, which you can actually buy and screw into the spindles here, which the crank's attached to. And then basically from there, you can just attach any foot pegs that you'd like. So it seems like a pretty good option. I have seen some complaints about the quality of those foot peg attachments, but I would like to do a little review for you guys to see if they work as advertised. I'd also like to mention, check this out, freshly bled brakes. These things are tight. I'm very proud of myself.
What is the top speed you have reached?
All right, top speed of this bad boy. Honestly, depends on how much you weigh, but for me, about 55 miles per hour. I like to round up and say that this is a 60 mile per hour bike because I feel like it can do it. But yeah, so far, I think about 55 miles per hour is the fastest that I've gone on this thing.
Sweet project. However, $2,500 is hardly a budget build.
So you're right, but sort of wrong. I mean, yeah, there's some builders out there with a lot of experience who maybe know how to weld their own frames and build their own batteries who could probably build a bike similar to this for much cheaper. But for your average person, $2,500 is a pretty decent deal for a bike like this. Like I said earlier, if you're comparing this bike to something with similar specs, like maybe a Surron X, I know they have a bunch of new bikes that sort of look like Surrons but aren't Surrons that cost like $5,000. Like, you're getting similar performance. Maybe it's not as pretty, but for half the price. And I know $2,500 isn't exactly budget for most people, but if we're comparing it to what else is out there, you know, with this performance and what the price range of those bikes are, I would argue that this is a decently budget build. All right, guys, so that's it for today's video. If you have any more questions about this bike, make sure to leave those in the comments down below and I will answer them personally. I think over the future with this bike, I'm looking to do a few ride videos, just really get out on this thing and enjoy it for a little while. I will have some more projects coming up on this channel in the future. They're gonna get more and more interesting. But yeah, also let me know in the comments what type of videos you'd like to see with this bike. And anyways, I think that's it. Again, if you haven't already, hit that like button, leave a nice comment down below. Most importantly, subscribe. And I will see you guys soon in the next one. Later.